Yeah, I was listening to Karceno's video about how Larry Bird is a better overall basketball player than Michael Jordan, and I don't think Larry Bird would even agree with Carceno's video. You know, you talk about individual basketball player, but yet you bring in the team concept as to determine why Larry Bird was better than Jordan, which I think is already flawed. It's at 5-on-5 and it's a team game, and I understand where you're coming from, but now you're bringing in all of these. It's sort of the same arguments that people would make as to why LeBron James is better than Kobe or whatever, and there's some truth to that. But one-on-one, Jordan would destroy Larry Bird. As far as having an impact individually, Jordan had a greater impact than Larry Bird did. There's a reason why Jordan had probably the second greatest, or the second most dominant at least, inaugural campaign by any player other than Wilt Chamberlain. He averaged 28 points per game his rookie year. I think something like 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, shot 52% from the field. And he was really dominant the second half of the season, because I think around the Christmas break of the 84-85 season, he was averaging like 24 point something points, and he finished with 28 points per game. So that tells me after Christmas, and especially the second half of the year, he was probably putting up like 30 points a game, which is unheard of for a rookie player. And he was dominating the Celtics individually. He was dominating the Boston Celtics and the Pistons, and that's why after that 59-point game that came on CBS, I think it was in '88, that's when the Pistons came up with the Jordan rules as a way a way to try to slow down this guy. As Chuck Daly said in a very famous interview, Michael Jordan was basically embarrassing the league. He was that good. All right. Then you said something about one-on-one. Bird would dominate Jordan down low in the post. Well, no shit, man. No shit, Karceno. He's a fucking small forward. Bird's a small forward. He was 6'9.5", listed at 220. Probably played as he got older and filled out about 230. May have been 235 when he started using steroids because of his back and shit. And no, I'm not saying he used steroids because he was cheating. It was because of his back. All right. 6'9.5", 230, 235 maybe. At his heaviest. Jordan was 6'6", listed, really 6'4 3/4. Played between 190 to 195 pounds during that time period. Later on, he was 216, 217 after the retirement, when he started lifting weights and bulking up and shit. So that's kind of flawed to say one-on-one right there. Talking about a guy with a huge size advantage, especially in height, post player, playing a small guard down low. Of course he's going to dominate him. But one-on-one, Jordan would kill him if they were to play one-on-one. All right, and this is the meat of the argument right here for me. Team. And you said Jordan did have some help. Yeah, he did. He did later on. He had Scottie Pippen, who became Scottie Pippen because of the influence of Michael Jordan, playing with Michael Jordan. All right, but it wasn't like Pippen came to the league playing gangbusters. I think Pippen averaged, 8 points per game his rookie year? Something like that. And he blossomed into, he didn't become Scottie Pippen really until 90-91. And oops, that's the year they won their first title. That's the first year that he became Scottie Pippen, or became something like what Scottie Pippen became. All right. The only other Hall of Famer other than Pippen and Jordan played was Dennis Rodman. And the only reason why he's a Hall of Famer is because he was so brilliant in the two areas that he was great at, defense and rebounding. I think he's the greatest overall rebounder of all time. He's one of the greatest greatest defenders of all time. But he wasn't much of an offensive player at all, which is another reason why Jordan had to shoot the ball 20-something times per game. Horace Grant was an all-star 1 year, 93-94, the year after Jordan retired the first time. All right, that's it for Chicago, because if you go before that, when Bird was winning championships, oh my God, who was Jordan playing with? Woolridge, who was a great, he was a good scorer, and he was a good open court player, which is why he was a better fit with the Lakers and Denver. But other than that, you had a bunch of drug addicts. Dave Corzine, Kyle Macy. Come on, hello. Did anybody even remember these guys? Let's go to the Boston Celtics. Robert Parrish, Hall of Famer. Kevin McHale, Hall of Famer. Larry Bird himself, Hall of Famer. Dennis Johnson, DJ, Hall of Famer. Nate Tony Archibald, true toward the end of his career, but a Hall of Famer. Pete Maravich, end of his career, but Hall of Famer. Bill Walton, Hall of Famer. Reggie Lewis, All-Star. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game. Cedric Cornbread Maxwell wasn't an all-star. The only reason why he wasn't an all-star is because he played on those loaded teams with the guys I just aforementioned. All right, Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread, 1981 NBA Finals MVP. All right, one of the league's best post scorers. The year before Bird got there in Boston, and the year after Havlicek retired, Maxwell was the focal point of offense for the Boston Celtics. Put up 19 points, 10 rebounds. Twice led the NBA in field goal percentage because of his ability to score down low, as was the guy who pretty much replaced him in the starting lineup, Kevin McHale, who led the league in field goal percentage twice and was even better post scorer. Some feel he was the best post scorer of all time, or at least he and Kim Olajuwon. All right. And let's go to the intangibles you listed toward the end of the video. Rebounding, Bird with advantage. Yes, he did, but he was also a small forward and he was 6'9.5". Jordan was a good rebounder for a guard as well. The one area where we'll give you the advantage, and I'll say Bird as far as passing, but Jordan became a great passer in his own right. Shooting, this is tricky. Bird was a better overall shooter if you compare him to the 80s Jordan. Yes, he was. Jordan became a much, much better outside shooter toward the end of his career, toward the 90s and onward, to the point where Jordan was the best mid-range jump shooter in the game during the championship years, the second three-peat years. He was the best mid-range shooter in the game and became a good three-point shooter. For his career, Bird was 37.6% from outside the arc, Jordan 32.7%. But if you take the championship years, Jordan was about 35%. Which is very good. Took their field goal percentage for each one of the respective careers. Bird 49.6%, Jordan 49.7%, which suggests that Jordan took high percentage shots, and that goes into what you were saying, basketball IQ. I think they both had great high basketball IQs. Which one had the higher? That's hard to quantify because they both had high basketball IQs. Let's say if I scored a 94 on the test and you scored a 98, you might have scored higher than me, but I'm right there. So what difference does it make if I'm still better than you in other areas? I'm just saying. So, and I don't know what's up with you this Isaiah Thomas thing, man. Isaiah Thomas was a tremendous point guard, but to say he was the greatest player of all time, that I don't know what you, Karceno, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Stick to doing rap videos or something, man, because basketball is not your expertise.